and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and I am joined by Chris Carnicelli.
Hello.
And Mr. Robert Thomas Morphy II.
Shit. I forgot you're always dropping the Roman numerals now. I'm cutting it off.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for saying it properly. I'm sure my father would be pleased. He wouldn't give a fuck, but thank you for doing it anyway.
Yeah, right.
Nice. Thank you all so very much for joining us. We're back. We are still remote and we are learning new tech, so the gamble that we're having with this is that either you're going to hear or you're not. So
it's actually less of a gamble
weird.
if you're hearing this because, well, it paid off. For us, though, it's rolling the crypto dice and not really techno dice, technically.
Yeah, exactly. Patreon, Robert, is the thing that we offer over at patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. And we have some shout outs to do for the folks.
Right. And you know what? Again, as ever, thank you for supporting us. I don't know why you do it. We're fuck ups, but God bless you. It helps. It keeps us going. And I love you, each and every one. So, who do I love the most? Well, all of you, but I'm going to start with Patrick Smith, who right this second I love the most. I'm not going to keep saying that. You just know that's the truth. Okay. Live, Cry, Die. Love you most. David Austin.
Okay.
Come on. That's a man's name. Anna Slobodniak. I'm thinking it's Slobodniak. And that's a fucking awesome name for the record. And if, I didn't get it, well, you know the dealio. Nick Sains. Wow. That's an alien name.
Nice.
We have alien patrons now.
I like it.
Eric Fritton.
Yeah, Eric.
Matthew fucking Fenner.
Thank you, Matthew.
Peter Bohall.
Yeah, Peter.
Catherine Brunette.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah. Thank you, Catherine. JST Crooked Jaw.
Okay, yeah.
Just maybe?
Hell yeah.
Initials or a company? I don't know. I know that you're right now my fucking favorite.
No one does.
Stephanie Park.
Thank you,
You know the deal, Steph. Wretched Pie. I don't know why that fucking amuses me.
No, man.
But yeah.
Because it's wretched.
It's wretched.
Simon
gross.
Reef.
Oh, thank you, Simon.
Right on. That's next to Finger Quarry there. Drew Bagley.
Yes, thank you all for your continued Patreon support. And again, that is patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. Be sure to go and check that out. Oh, we're heading back to a place that we love to go, boys. We're heading back to
where's that?
some super weird shit. Now, I know that sounds odd because we always talk about super weird shit. But when I got this email from Robert, I giggled a little bit. My heart grew 2 sizes, and I started to not feel so sick because Rob and I are still sick. So
Slightly less sick than we were a few days ago when we recorded the last pod because that was much delayed, our recording the last time.
Yes.
But yeah, no, we're still wrestling through it. But at least I'm not a complete shit show. I'm not a Niagara Falls of postnasal drip. So I feel really happy about that. And to celebrate, I'm drinking 40-year-old bourbon out of a vintage McDonald's cup that came in an Elvis Presley fucking 1970 style statuette / music box that I opened. I'm very excited about this vintage bourbon, which is dangerous, I think, because I don't know its provenance really that well, but what the fuck?
all right. Well, with all that being said, this week, bourbon aside, we are talking about Slendergumby, the Faceless Thing, and the Tentacled Twinkie.
Fucking right we are. Back to basics.
That's right. A fan
roots.
favorites.
Everyone knows about these legendary beasts. Why not make it a trifecta?
All right. Well, here we go. Let's get started with... While epic flaps involving repeated encounters with anomalous entities like Mothman are the stuff of legend, by and large, the majority of paranormal run-ins involve brief and unexpected brushes with high strangeness that leave experiencers both baffled and horrified. Here are just a few of the bizarre brushes people have reported with these macabre mysteries.
Look at you switching it up and accurately pronouncing it. Oh, I'm proud of you.
I'm sorry.
That's very unlike us.
Really, though. There
Macabre mysteries.
Do something right.
The mystery of the macabre. There it is. Thank you.
No, I love these things because obviously, you know, I mean, one of our earliest episodes was Jelly Man and just these weird offshoot brief things. You know, we all need to spend time dealing with the major, you know, primary, incidents that really influenced people, whether it be, like I said, the classic Mothman or the more recent, though probably a couple decades now, celebrated Loveland Frogman that we recently did. But every now and again, you just got to get back to the roots with just these batshit crazy little interludes that are just in and out and fucking, and that, change your life. And to that end,
totally,
let's do this. As is so often the case regarding the most intriguing accounts of encounters with enigmatic entities, there is very little information regarding the circumstances surrounding the case of the so-called Slendergumby. That's one word. That's the eyewitness's name. We're just going to stick with it. When you see it, you have every right to name it. Save for the fact that the eyewitness, Luke, a young male living with his parents on a farm near Boca Raton, Florida, evidently endured 3 nights of unmitigated terror due to its presence. That might be a bit hyperbolic. I think he was more intrigued and frightened, but let's give me unmitigated terror. According to his account, which was posted originally on Reddit, then to the National Cryptid Society website on September 17th, 2017, the events in question began 1 month earlier on the evening of August 14th, 2017, while the witness was alone eating dinner. During the meal, Luke just happened to glance out the window, and while he was watching the dusk settle on his parents' property, he caught sight of something moving out of the corner of his eye. In his own words, quote, "I saw something reminiscent of Slender Man. Obviously, Slender Man is a creepypasta, but this isn't Slender Man." So, to make it clear, it's reminiscent of,
okay,
but he knows the deal. Then he described the area where his sighting took place, quote, "There's a farm behind my house separated by a canal. The farm stretches maybe about 1,000 feet back before it hits a tree line. A couple of weeks ago, I was eating dinner and staring out at the farm. It was maybe 20 minutes until nightfall. I saw what looked like a really tall, gray version of Gumby walk out of the tree line, take 2 really large lunges, then disappear back into the tree line. It was much too tall to be a person," end quote. Zeroing in on the movement, Luke was able to give a more detailed description of this idiosyncratic entity. Quote, "It was flat, but its legs bended in a way that looked like a plank bending, like how a piece of wood bows when weight is put on it, but springs back up when the weight is taken off." So that's kind of interesting. That's not a hinge joint. That's just this weird rubbery wow. I'm making the sound effect, but
yeah.
Its body, from where I could see it, was rigid. It didn't look flexible aside from the legs, and the limbs were fairly wide, end quote. As suddenly as it had begun, his observation of the odd being ended. But this would prove to be merely a preamble to his multiple encounters with the unknown. According to Luke's testimony, quote, "The next night, at the same time, the same exact thing happened, except my parents were with me. It walked on 2 legs, but it was more like lunges or arching steps than human walking. Both astonished and more than likely grateful," I'm sorry, that's the end of the quote. "Both astonished and more than likely grateful that he was not alone when the creature showed up this time, Luke immediately turned to his parents and asked them if they had seen what he had. To his eternal chagrin, their response was, 'Saw what?'" Oh, that's a dick kicker.
Oh boy! See,
no. Oh,
so
man.
it's a ghost Slendergumby.
Yeah, it's something, or it's a mental projection. It's an internal Slendergumby. It's a mind parasite. It's or fucking the parents just weren't paying that much fucking attention to a tree line behind a barn 1,000 fucking feet away, which is also an option. Or
True.
Dude's off his meds. I mean, you got, the beaties. You can't rule anything out, but let's not jump ahead yet.
All right.
As we always do. Almost certainly frustrated and freaked out in equal proportion, it's likely Luke's eyes were glued to the tree line beyond the barn, both hoping for and dreading the return of this inhuman yet obviously animate apparition. Unfortunately, he didn't report if he was tempted to hike out past the canal to actively engage the entity, or if he was afraid that this thing might be inclined to venture beyond the forest to come closer to, or maybe even enter his home. What we do know is, like clockwork, on the 3rd night, August 16th, the creature came again. Quote, "Then it happened again. the third night. Its movements and stride were consistently the same all 3 days, and it happened at the same time each night. So either my body is giving me random hallucinations in sync with my body's time clock, or there's just some weird Slendergumby demon living on the farm behind my house. End quote. And I fucking love that self-assessment. I think that's brilliant.
I mean, yeah, at least he's aware enough to make that assessment. Right?
Totally. You got to give him credit for that, Luke, regardless. In follow-up, Luke added, quote, I haven't been home much recently, so I haven't been able to look for it again. I haven't seen what it was since those 3 times and was unable to get a photo of it due to how far away it was. I've yet to venture to the farm to look to the area that I saw it. But when I do, I'll take photos of anything that looks interesting or out of the ordinary. Intriguingly, he added, quote, this was in the middle of a very populated city, so seeing something this outlandish in a human-heavy area was quite strange, end quote. So what are we to make of Luke's long-distance observations? Did he really see a massive gray, rubber-legged giant, or was it a trick of the waning light playing on the moving trees? If it was something real, what could it have been? There's nothing biological that fits what Luke described. So, might it have been an inanimate object? A huge tarp tangled in the branches, blowing in and out of the woods, looking like some kind of colossal critter? Or might it have been some kind of interdimensional or extraterrestrial entity that somehow found itself stuck in our world, perhaps finding the tiny, hinge-jointed creatures it was observing every bit as terrifying and perplexing as the young witness had found it? Whatever it may have been, why did it always appear at the same time? Was it simply that this was when Luke remembered what he'd seen the previous day and was refocusing on the area? Or is there something more sinister afoot? A game of cat and mouse between an unsuspecting human being and an ungodly entity that, for reasons we can only speculate, decided to show itself to just this individual, not allowing anyone else to see it, at least not in its true form. Unfortunately, unless the recipient decides to break his silence and come forward, perhaps with photographic evidence or new and even more fascinating stories to tell, we will likely never have the answers to any of these questions. So I know I threw a lot out there at the end.
Damn.
Yeah, that's
it. And it is the way of the West, but I almost can't help but think, I mean, and this is rare that I don the skeptic cap, myself and so early, but like something, I mean, I don't know how big these trees are, but he acknowledged, Luke acknowledged that this thing was much larger than a human being without giving specific guesstimates, which is fine. Not everyone can guess height. The idea of some tarp or plastic sheeting, which would look translucent-y gray at a distance, maybe stuck to a branch inside that's kind of coming in and out, and it just maybe is ripped and torn from the wind. And as such, it looks like something ambulatory that's coming in and out, because it's the same place, I think, though that wasn't specified exactly, but the same time, definitely, which again, that has no bearing on this hypothesis one way or another. Wind comes when it comes. But I can almost think like if you saw it walking around or poking behind the barn or getting closer to the house or further away, that's one thing. But this might just have a reasonable thing, and in the when in the dwindling light of dusk, for lack of a better way of putting it, your eyes play fucking tricks on you.
Yeah, totally. No,
yeah, they do. I mean, you would think it like for all his like, thinking about what it could be and stuff. Like, I mean, did he go and search the area? Like, if it is the same spot, right? Like, why would you? Well,
has he since then? I mean, at the very end.
Well, that's also a question.
When I come back, I haven't been home lately. Maybe he's a college student. I don't know why he wasn't home lately. Summer camp. We don't even know how old he is exactly. He planned on inspecting the area and taking photographs of the area. If there was a follow-up on Reddit, I didn't see it. So, I don't know, is I guess the short answer. He said he was, but like so many of these things, and as a guy who has shitbag follow through sometimes, I'm not faulting Luke, but goddamn, dude. I mean, at least take a picture of the tree and say, hey, I can't find anything. Who the fuck knows? it's not maybe a satisfying conclusion, but at least it's an epilogue of sorts.
I mean, you kind of have to go out there and inspect it.
Yeah, like immediately.
You
Like
have
the
to,
first time I can see maybe like, all right, you see one fucking thing, but like the second time and it's the same thing that you think it is, like you got to go immediately, right? You can't like wait like a day.
I don't know. I mean, do you go out
like,
at night,
I mean,
though? I mean, that might be a little treacherous. If this thing is like, say, 15,
like,
20 feet, 10 feet tall, I mean, we don't know exactly, taller than a human. And
we don't know.
An inhuman, decidedly, Gumby-esque, which is not particularly threatening, but still disconcerting. I'm not sure if I'm doing a solo night hunt. Now, maybe if he recruits Pops, says, I saw something, sagely in Return of the Living Dead style doesn't say it's zombies, but people with the disease, Pops, I saw something, I don't know what it is. Come with me and check it out. Maybe they get armed or whatever. I mean, it's Boca Raton. I don't know what the deal is in terms of having guns in the city, but it's Florida. So fuck it. Go out and see what it is.
Right.
Yes. But I don't know if would you go out at night alone and check it out?
I guess it depends like where, like if it's a heavy populated area, I'm assuming it's decently lit than not in country roads.
Or is it like a real rural pocket in the middle of a densely populated area?
That's a great question.
You're right. I mean, we can't answer these questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm clearly going to go out there and look for it.
If it's in the middle, if it's like fucking the places around here, like between Auburn and like Weedsport, and there's no lights, then no.
Right. I guess that's what my imagination was showing me too, Chris. That's why I was like if it was well lit and people were around.
Well, I did too until he said like a densely populated area having this thing around. So I'm like, oh well, it's just probably a fair amount of light, but maybe not. It could be in a pocket where there's not, I guess.
How about you, Mark? You going out dark or not? Armed with a flashlight and katana?
Sure,
see what happens?
Yeah. Multiple swords. There you go. Not even bringing the guns out this time. Not even going to bring the truck, the new truck. The new truck stays home. Swords come out. There you go.
The new that's really similar to the old truck.
The new truck is...
I didn't even know that it was different. I got in and I'm just like... This feels like this. I still have to climb in and fucking parasail out.
Oh my fucking God, yes.
Didn't
parasail.
You didn't feel the heated seats. I turned them on specifically for you. So
I didn't feel the seated heats.
The seated heats. There it is.
Okay.
The seated heats.
All right. Well, there it is. Rob, you'll see the new truck soon.
I mean, thanks for not taking me for a ride, fucker. Whatever.
I haven't seen you guys.
Just because we've been self-sequestered in fucking deep illness. Excuses is all I'm hearing.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on. I love you, buddy.
All right, let's do it.
We're going to move on to the next case. Again, a lot of unanswered questions. It's just a taste of weird. This one gets a little weirder, I guess. Our second case was again reported on the National Cryptid Society website, this time on August 1st, 2021. The sighting took place in November of either 2003 or 2004, somewhere in the Dahlonega, Georgia area. I think Dahlonega. I think I'm saying it right. And the entity was dubbed, for what will soon be apparent reasons, the Faceless Thing of Dahlonega. The anonymous eyewitness was leaving church after dark, or leaving for church, I assume, when she or he witnessed the kind of creature that nightmares are made of. According to their testimony, quote, as I came to a stop at the end of my driveway, I saw a hairless humanoid creature walking across the road about 11 yards to my right. There was a nearby light so I could see it fairly clearly. It had a completely normal human shape with tan, leathery-looking skin and no clothing at all. It was the size of a 4-year-old child and walked like a normal human, end quote.
Super
that's really problematic. Because, first off, a naked child walking down the street, hyper problematic. No mention of any hair, so a bald kid just, I guess, adds to the odd dimension, but you're still fucking worried. For the kid at this point, not for yourself at all, I'd assume. Perplexed, the observer continued to stare, hoping to make sense of this coriaceous critter. But when the thing turned to look back at the individual, they would get the shock of their life, quote. At first, I just saw it from the side, but when it was most of the way across the road, it turned as if it was looking at me. Upon turning its head toward me, I could see that it had no eyes, nose, or lips. It had smooth indentations where the eyes should have been, a smooth, slight protrusion where the nose should have been, and nothing where the mouth should have been. It's really icky.
It's real.
It also
gross.
had noticeable
I don't want to
ears,
judge.
which is a nice touch. And I think that might differentiate it from the House of the Faceless Fiends or whatever we did back in the Halloween pods, the New England house where the caretaker has all these faceless individuals, under their care in some ramshackle old fucking house in Vermont or one of those places. But anyway.
Yeah. I almost wish it didn't have ears, but that's me.
No, it says it also had no noticeable ears.
Well, Jesus Christ.
Oh, okay.
See? Morons.
All right. Well,
and by morons, I mean me.
Thank God it has no ears.
Perfect. Oh, man, sickness is taking your sight, taking your hearing. Like a landmine.
Oh. Doctors keep
Living
visiting
with
me.
life and hack. So, that whole discussion was a waste.
So it says nothing.
It's nothing. And so it's less disturbing now, Mark. We can be pleased.
I'm excited.
We blow.
Thank you.
Dumbfounded, the observer and the bizarre being faced off for a couple of seconds before the evidently unconcerned thing scurried away. Quote, "It did not respond to noticing me other than the 2 seconds it faced toward me. It continued on its own straight path up a small embankment and into the woods. As it climbed up the embankment, it crawled on all fours the same way a human might climbing a steep hill." End quote. As if this encounter weren't sufficient, the witness claimed to have spied the same or a virtually identical featureless fiend not long after. Quote, "It was walking from the direction of a gravel road, Lee Anderson Road, between a pump/well business and an old barn. It walked north across Cavender, Creek Road and into the woods on the other side in the direction of Ricketts Lake." It's not, I don't want to swim there.
It's not a lake I want to deal with, yeah.
No.
Wow.
Nobody wants to go
Ricketts
swimming in
Lake.
fucking
Jesus
Ricketts
Christ.
Lake. That's awful.
It's just an unfortunate.
Yeah, we're gonna picnic at Tick Knolls, take a dip in Ricketts Lake. It's gonna be great. We're going
gonna
to
go to
Spinal
the-
Bifida Gully to get high, guys.
Yeah, we're going to fucking TV park. Perfect.
Actual fire pond. I don't want to go to actual fire anywhere.
No.
Unless it's like a bonfire.
No, let alone fucking Ricketts Corner or the
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
Ricketts.
I know. Rename your
Lake.
shit.
Ricketts Creek
Ricketts
on the
Creek.
CW
really.
this fall.
A lot of young people with physical ailments, but they're still attractive and full of drama.
Yeah. They got Ricketts, dude. Eat some
All
oranges,
right,
dog.
so
There you go. Scurvy.
Are you confusing it with scurvy again? Or is Ricketts the same thing? I don't
Totally.
fucking know.
I have no fucking idea. It involves the sun, maybe. Got
The
me.
area, the witness continues, has lots of hay, fields, woods, hills, and creeks. Further north is a national forest, end quote. The explicitness of these details ought to help any would-be monster hunters in their quest to find this thing, if indeed it still makes the same region its haunt after well nigh 2 decades. I mean, that's a tight ass. I mean, I've never been to Ricketts Corners, as they were saying, but I mean, if you can't find this place, unless all the businesses have changed since 2003, it's your own damn fault. Sagely, the person making this report was reticent to come forward publicly stating, quote, "I haven't told many people about this because it makes me sound crazy. People think I am making it up or I was on drugs. Neither is true." As to what this leathery humanoid might have been, the witness claimed, quote, "I have searched for similar sightings for years and haven't come across anything that resembles what I saw. Except if, they eventually come across the House of the Faceless. My hypothesis is that it might have lived in a cave somewhere close by. There are plenty of caves in the area, and that could explain why it had no eyes." Adding, "Some people have said it was probably an alien. I doubt this because it was not carrying anything and was not startled upon seeing me. It seems like if it was an alien that ventured far from its craft, it would have been carrying something either for protection, navigation, or collecting samples." End quote. I don't necessarily blame the person for making this assumption. But that's not necessarily reflective of what we've seen before. There's a lot of weird-ass aliens that are not at all perturbed by the sight of human beings, that aren't carrying any gear that we can see whatsoever. But if you're not, well-versed in lore, then, you don't fucking know that. So, I mean, that's fine. Anyway, the eyewitnesses' speculation that this might be some kind of bipedal cave-dwelling creature seems as good as any. But while the lack of eyes is explicable, what are we to make of a lack of nostrils and mouth? Even things that live in perpetual twilight need to eat and breathe, after all. So, again, I get it. That's
True.
Just some base. Oh, it doesn't have eyes. Maybe it lives in a cave. I don't have any beef with you jumping to that conclusion. But a faceless thing, that does not make sense necessarily. You're dealing with something truly beyond the pale, at least, on Earth.
Yeah. Faces are pretty ubiquitous when it comes to evolution. Like, at least something of a face.
Breathe, yeah.
I mean,
is there? This is a dumb question, but it's from me. So don't worry. Is there anything that doesn't have a face? I'm just putting it out
like
there.
Something alive that doesn't have a face that's not like microscopic.
Well, I guess
I don't know, like a
tardigrades have
worm.
weird faces.
Some
Worms don't
a
have
worm.
faces.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose there's a lot, but they still have some sort of opening in which they like suck in the dirt, extract the nutrients and shit it out the back hole.
Yeah.
Sure.
And this thing's clearly on all fours.
Well, only on all fours climbing up. It was bipedal when it crossed the road.
Climbing
up
uphill,
a hill or embankment. And a person would do that. I've done that. We've all done that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. It's clearly a faceless thing running around. Now, so if there is a cave system, though, still the face, though, there's no way to eat unless you're like absorbing whatever through your skin, like a fucking plant would, like photosynthesis.
Or osmosis of some sort. Like, if it's like a filter feeder and it just couldn't see its mouth, but it's a weird mesh and it just lays belly down in a creek and lets fucking weird shit pass through.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I mean, it could be some weird skin flap thing that they have to just put over their whole head.
Oh, a head
you can't
condom?
tell it's like a hood type thing.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And
it's head foreskin.
It's
an uncircumcised head.
Just
that makes sense. And it protects it from whatever fucking bullshit might be out there, be it a bacterial or whatever. Okay. And it peels it back when it's time to eat, see, and smell. Or whatever other senses it has.
I would believe that under, just the eyes aren't there because of being in a cave. I mean, that's millions of years of evolution to not have eyes or a mouth or fucking ears.
Dude, maybe they just missed out on evolution, man. They were like, we're in line, and their friends like, dude,
missed out on evolution. I love that theory. Hey, we were in line for the Dave Matthews concert. We missed out on evolution. What are you gonna do?
I love that you're at a Dave Matthews concert in Boston.
What else would it be?
Dave Matthews.
They could be some sort of weird offshoot of reptilian. What if they're like cobra people and the hoods just evolved into just like a flap? And so when they go out, it's like a predator. They makes them look like they're dangerous, but they're really not. But it's like a hood that just evolved into more of a
could you imagine if they get angry and it flips out wide and that cobra heart and it's like
that's why they should have tested it and it hissed and it said get the fuck out of my land. This is why
even though no gender was specified, I assume it was a woman who saw it, because if this was a male, somebody would have hucked a rock and then the hood theory would have been proven or disproven immediately.
I really, really want the hood theory.
Oh my God! Yeah, the foreskin cobra hood is absolutely the greatest theory that's ever been espoused on this podcast. Period.
I feel like it's pretty legit.
No, I'm 100% with it. So it's definitely a pupa kind of cobra person, and for safety, and maybe like a little foundling where the ears wrap around the eyes when something's like this little tiny baby thing and it's too bright. It's just waiting to blossom into the full fucking hooded, super foreskin having cobra man / woman it was meant to be.
Yeah. All right.
Don't knock it till you tried it.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. This thing's just running around the countryside, just hanging out. Like, I'm assuming that obviously they said that there's more than one. So if this is an entire population that's just living underneath
this eyewitness who did not identify themselves in any way, and I don't blame them, says this first account runs up the hill. I'm at the end of my driveway, scoots up the hill. Then it says Faceless 2. in the account, literally. And then it just literally starts giving street directions, by the old quarry next to the cinder block hut, fucking, by the photo mat.
Right.
It just shot by. It doesn't even say specifically that this individual saw it, but you can only assume because it was in the same fucking post by the same person.
Right.
So we don't know.
I assumed it was two separate.
Well, there's no
creatures.
reason to assume that it's the same one. I mean, on one hand, it's like it's the same area, same person. Maybe she's getting Cobra Baby stalked. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. But yeah, you can. There's reasons to assume it's the same one. But Mark, you make a very valid point. There's also reasons to not jump to that conclusion, which is that we don't fucking know, and maybe it's two or more living in the cases. I mean, what isn't there supposed to be like pale ass goblins living in Mammoth Cave? I mean, didn't that kick off the whole Hellier series, like an investigation into like baby gobs, not the big-eared Hopkinsville, but baby gobs living in a cave in the Mammoth system. Now, granted, let me go back to this. I type this out. I don't know. Do we have? Yeah, we have exactly. I was about to say, do we know where it is? Of course we do. Dahlonega, Georgia. So I don't know if that's part of the same kind of cave system, a different cave system.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a lot of, I mean, we know subterranean entities are the stuff of fucking lore. We've never even gotten into like the Shaver mythos, though we've talked about fucking Daros and Taros and other things. But there are like multiple legends, reptilians again, which we flirted with last week, of things that occupy the underground. And one of them is pale humanoid things. I don't know how many of those legends actually relate to apparently faceless things, but who the fuck knows?
Dude, if these things are just fucking living down there in the center of the earth, man, I mean, shit, like that they just happen to come up maybe for a snack. I don't know, to hang out, hill, see what's happening.
Whatever they got to do.
Yeah, run up a hill. They're just like, I want to
get in your steps, man.
That.
Fuck.
Dude. Fuck
if you ain't got a face, you got to at least walk.
If you ain't got a face, you got to at least walk. Chris Carnacelli, 2024.
I think that, honestly, though, the next deep dive we might, I can't promise this, is probably into the Hollow Earth mystery. It would be a multi-parter. Really? It might rival Mothman. I don't know if I got the heart for it. I'm just coming off a sickness. It might be the fever talking still. I don't know.
And it's 100%
because
the fever
it's
talking.
still a fascinating fucking series. I mean,
no, it's a thing we'll hit when you're all healthy, and not just you. We're all healthy and strong, so we can survive the multi-part.
We're all going to be drinking emergency for a week and working out. No sex with your wife, Mark. We're going to keep ourselves pure and vital.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well. I mean, yeah, all right. There you go, celibate Mark for the 10-part series on the Hollow Earth. Boy, my dick's not going to enjoy this. All right.
I mean, you got to be in it because if you cheat midway through, you are going to be broken. You'll be broken by 7.5, dude.
All right.
Hey, guess what? We're not done.
Here we go.
We're not done. We've got like little baby cobra people. We got I don't even remember what we talked about the first. Oh, Slendergumby. How did I forget? Now we're going to move on to what is our last story of the evening, and it's pretty good. Our final segment, to get back to my words, to paraphrase Stephen King and George Romero's classic EC Comics-inspired horror opus Creepshow, will give you the creeps.
Oh, nice. Classic.
Dang.
The last creature that we are going to discuss once again comes to us from the Reddit archives, where it was posted by a user with the nom de plume horror BXTH TCH. Okay. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, it's bourbon and fucking cold medicine here. Anyway,
all right.
I think it's horror bitch with a self-censored X.
All right, cool.
Yeah. I apologize to all our listeners. You deserve better. According to her account, the incident in question took place sometime in the summer of 2016 while she was staying at her grandparents' expansive estate located outside of Grand Junction, Colorado, near the Utah border, for a few weeks while her mother was away on vacation. That seems to indicate to me that she was young, or maybe a high schooler that was unruly, or maybe just a college kid wanted to see Graham and Gramps and fucking mom was gone. I don't fucking know, but I'm just trying to follow the clues. Horror, as I'm referring to her, went on to set the scene. Excuse me. Quote, both grandparents are alive and well. They have a pretty large property, a large house, 2 smaller guest houses on the property, a large garden, and a barn where they have chickens. They live in the large house. My aunt lives with them, but she stays in one of the smaller guest houses. They have quite a few neighbors, but the properties over there are pretty big, so you'd have to drive down the road for a minute to reach each of their homes. Their house is by a large river, and the whole area has a ton of trees, plant life, animals. She added, there's a lot of farm, land/fruit orchards on the property around there, end quote. The incident in question concerned an unspecified evening that summer. In the eyewitness's own words, quote, I was letting my dog out one night. There's hardly any lights around their property, so I grabbed a flashlight. My dog is outside for maybe a minute before I hear her start viciously growling and barking like I've never heard before. She's growled and barked at animals or people outside before, but this was more aggressive than I had ever heard her, end quote. Frightened for her canine companion, Horror swiftly headed toward the commotion, never once anticipating that she was about to have a face-to-faceless encounter with an evolutionary abomination that might have made Lovecraft recoil in fear. She continued, I started making my way over to my dog to investigate. I make it about halfway to my dog and I freeze dead in my tracks. I'm pointing my flashlight in the direction she's facing, and I see the most unsettling thing I've ever seen. At first, I think I'm just imagining it or tripping out, but there's no denying it was clear as day. She then described the unthinkable, quote, it was about 3 to 4 feet tall, a rectangular figure, but with rounded edges. Imagine like a 4-foot tall Twinkie. Yeah. I know. And first I'm like, yeah, Twinkie right. The kid, come on here. It was this gross, translucent tan flesh color, like the color of a naked mole rat. There was no apparent face or limbs. All I saw was a bunch of tentacle-looking legs, tentacle/leg-looking things protruding all down the front and side of its body.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's like a fucking, it's a paramecium.
It's totally what it is. It's like a fucking 3.5-4 foot tall paramecium. You could just see these tendrils, and you have to hear the sound.
That fuck yeah.
They can go to hell, burn twice, come back, get stabbed, burn again.
I mean, back to hell is what I should have said.
So John Carpenter's remake of The Thing, when fucking all the huskies who obviously got contaminated. And
in the cage when it busts out.
And that like ungodly hissing roar. I don't know how to describe it, but the sound design in that film, like everything else, is fucking c'est magnifique. Fucking, that's what I can't help.
Yeah.
Like when she turns and sees, it's this big, rounded, naked mole rat, fucking pinkish tan, translucent fucking mess. But then all of a sudden you just see these things whipping around and I hear that fucking sound.
That sound, the whippy sound, that sucks.
It's so fucking
that sounds
bad.
Awful.
As if its appearance weren't disturbing enough, the evidently intelligent entity's actions chilled the observer to the bone. Quote, the way it was moving was creepy. At first, it was sort of gently rocking side to side, and then I swear it started taunting my dog, like running from one spot to another to mess with her. This has to go. Mark, I need you to be Mark right now. I need you to arm yourself to the teats and fucking make this go bye-bye immediately.
All right. Guns a-blazing.
So here's what fucks me up more than anything. You see this thing with tendrils ahoy and fucking it's just, whatever it's fucking doing, rocking gently side to side. But then it fucking, I'm just running, whatever the fuck that means. So it can propel itself fast enough to, block a dog's escape multiple times.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's like millipedes, right? I mean, they're just like, there's so many things going. It probably doesn't. There's not a movement that makes it look like it's moving. It probably just moves.
Yeah, like it's,
you know what I mean? Because all the tendrils are just moving.
It's got that silverfish glide, that horrible fucking movement that doesn't feel like it ought to be real, and unfortunately is. Yeah, but that's just what blew me away, though, because, I mean, you know, all right, if it's there, if it's this lumpy fuck all that came from space or who the fuck knows where, and it's just there wriggling, okay. But the fact that it's like hyper ambulatory enough to like intercept a very fast animal like a dog, that really made me go, oh, Jesus, criminals. It's too much.
Yeah, I'd throw up and run away for sure.
All right. After watching the bizarre interaction between her dog and this unspeakable nightmare of undulating semi-transparent flesh and tentacles, the witness had had enough and mustered up the courage to take action. Quote, "At this point, I got too scared it would do something to my dog, so I ran to her, snatched her up, and booked it inside and locked the door." Sage. "When I peeked back outside, the thing was gone. I don't think anything has ever disturbed me, that much in real life before. My body wouldn't stop shaking for probably 25 minutes after I got inside. Unsure of what it was that may have been playing with or attempting to prey upon her precious pup, Horace spent the rest of the night puzzling over what she had seen, and more likely than not, fearing that it might somehow wriggle into the house on its improbably numerous tendrils. The following day, the still stunned observer decided to share her experience with her aunt, prompting her to write, quote, "The most fucked up part is the next day I told my aunt I saw a, quote, weird alien bug-looking creature outside the night before. Her aunt's response would cause her eyes to widen in shock. Quote, "She said, 'I've seen some weird shit out there,' and proceeded to explain seeing the exact same thing that I saw. Same color, shape, lots of tentacles / centipede-looking appendages." There you go, Chris. "And the icing on the cake for me was when she said it kept rocking from side to side. I said, 'You're kidding me. That's exactly what I saw last night.' We both got the chills and flipped out because it confirmed it wasn't in our imagination. She said her encounter was about a week prior to mine. She saw it right outside one of the guest houses. I saw it near the garden." End quote.
Oh, dude, confirmation of the fucking worst kind. That's awful.
So it's there for a week at least.
Yeah, I mean, at least you do have like, okay, I'm not seeing this. Isn't something that is, you know, that I'm hallucinating or whatever. Your aunt is also seeing it, but that also makes it that much worse because it's there.
No, it's got to be one of those things where, you know, you see it and then you process it and you believe yourself because, you know, we all want to believe our eyes, no matter how dubious they can be. But after a few days, maybe you'd be like, maybe it wasn't as big as I thought. Maybe it was some weird thing. Maybe it was, I don't know, like a bunch of jello got caught up in fucking weeping willow tendrils and was caught in a windstorm and spinning around. And I made it all up. But the very next day you have someone else saying, "Oh no, this fleshy fuck all is a real fucking thing. And it lives here apparently, or visits here, or does whatever the fuck it does. And it can move and deal with it. This is a part of your fucking life now."
Oh shit.
Yeah. I don't want it to be a part of my life.
No. Said it's the double-edged it's the double-edged sword because it's like I said, you're not hallucinating, but now someone's like, you know, I saw this thing too, and then you're both like, fuck, this is on the property, like we have to deal with this thing.
100%.
I'm assuming. Yeah,
that's why you gotta get like some trail cams and set up some shit, see if you can capture that shit,
dude. Some nets, dude. Get some nets.
I wouldn't be satisfied. I'm like, I need to know if it's there outside of me visually 100%. Seeing it. You know what I mean? If it exists outside of my visual.
I mean, we can't
experience, I guess,
for Horace's experience or what her age is or what her life deal is. But for guys like us that are obviously interested in this, that are intrigued by this, and also just, I mean, I guess even if we weren't doing a podcast about this or weren't like extra invested, you need to figure this out. Like, all right, I've seen it. It was there a week ago. What, did my dog bring it out, or did my dog just happen to like prevent it from making its escape? Because it might not have been wanting to attack the dog or playing with it, preying on it, or maybe just trying to get away, and the dog kept blocking its exit. But you're right, trail cams galore. You got to get a FLIR if you can afford it. And I also agree with Mark, fucking set up some fucking nets or something, set up some animal traps, bait it with different things, fucking vegetables, fucking leftovers, meat, whatever you think it might eat.
Vegetables.
And try to fucking get a hold, because what the fuck could this thing be?
Yeah, nothing that exists, but like in Earth reality.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to continue here. When asked if her grandparents had had any bizarre encounters of their own, Horror replied, quote, "I've never asked my grandparents if they've seen anything out of the ordinary, but now I want to. I have a feeling my grandpa would have some good stories. Unfortunately, my grandparents live about 4 to 5 hours away from me, but the next time I visit, I'm sure as hell going alien hunting," which shows her bias. Adding, "It's interesting, though, because I've heard there are a lot of UFO sightings in the Grand Junction area bordering on Utah. So seriously, what the fuck is up with this thing? Are we talking about an alien, uber insect, Lovecraftian old god broken loose from the dark underworld? Throwback to last week. Hell-bent on devouring the universe one puppy at a time? Fucked if I know, and that is the truth. Like, the only thing it could be is a fucking insect, and it can't be a fucking insect, because they can't be that big.
They're not that big, yeah.
The way gravity works.
That's pretty fucking big.
And not that massive, not that thick. I mean, if it's Twinkie thick and 4 foot high, that means it's at least a foot, maybe a little more than a foot through the middle, and dense.
Yeah. Fucking Lovecraftian Twinkie the Kid. Oh.
Could these accounts prove that, as fascinating as the epic encounters and grand mythologies may be, sometimes the weirdest shit just takes you by surprise and is over before you know it, leaving the individuals who have had these inexplicable brushes with the unknown wondering what other enigmatic entities may occupy our shared reality, and in the worst case scenarios, leaving them terrified by all of the unfathomable and potentially ghastly things that may be waiting for them in the dark. And that's where it is. It's in the dark. Going to the dark, guys.
All right. The Twinkie the Kid. Yeah, we're in the dark currently.
Wriggle-ass Twinkie the Kid. Lovecraft's Twinkie the Kid.
Yeah.
My favorite comic book character that Mike Mignola should add immediately to the VPRD.
Yeah, no, for
You're
sure.
right.
I mean, yeah, Hellboy definitely has to fight that. So yeah, I mean, she's got confirmation that it's there. It obviously is interacting with her dogs and the property. Interesting though that she does bring up that part of Colorado in Utah, that border there, that is like UFO area. I mean, if there was like a UFO sighting, I would be like, yeah, no, totally. This thing could, have been from, some sort of craft or something. But almost like, what was it like the Garson? Well, no, the Garson invaders.
I mean, they were like, they were big.
I'm trying to think of anything that we've covered.
Cycloptic, spider-looking fuckers.
Right. So it doesn't.
There's very few
It
things
doesn't
that
fit that at all.
This is going to sound weird. This is just a really stupid distinction to make, but it means a lot of different. It makes a lot of difference to me. If this thing were on its belly, 4 foot long, 1 foot high, crawling on tendrils, I would be like, okay. And maybe she just, didn't estimate sizes really well. Maybe it is that big. But to me, it's like, okay, you're just like a weird super bug. You're an evolutionary, you're a mutant, and, you shouldn't exist, and you're there. But the fact that it was standing erect, 4 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet tall, and 1 foot wide, and managing to move fast enough to intercept a dog, that to me makes this something else altogether. And this also harkens back to some of the cases when we discussed the alien octopoids back in the day. Octosquatch less so because it was hair and not tendrils. But I remember some of the lesser cases. I wish I could cite them directly right now. That involved basically what looked like cactuses on tentacled stalks with weird things jutting out of them that were seen by UFO witnesses. And I almost can't help but wonder if this is just one type of the seemingly hundreds of occupants that visit Earth.
Yeah, sort of like the Delta dogs. Well, I mean, they were coming out of a ship,
Right.
but if this is some weird alien, or if it's just, the old SPCA of the universe theory, where they just dump off their
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, that's a bummer. Like, just give him a nice home. Let him get fucking adopted. Don't just, leave him
I probably mentioned this before, but my favorite and far and away, in my opinion, when I was young, the most disturbing episode of The Outer Limits, I don't know if you guys ever watched this, not the 90s one, but the 60s one back in the day, was an episode called The Xanthi Misfits, which were basically bugs with people faces, and everyone fucking knows how I feel about animals with people faces. I don't fucking care for that shit at all. And they were killing people left and right.
Yeah.
The aliens had released them. It was an invasion. The army had to fight them. And then the human beings ended up barely winning in the end and killing them. And then, in what was an attempt to be like a Twilight Zone twist, sorry if I'm giving it away, but it's been out for fucking half a century, so deal with it. The alien intelligence announced like, oh, these are our worst prisoners. These are the most cutthroat criminals of our society, but we're so advanced we can't do anything about them, so we sent them to Earth because we knew you'd kill them for us. And besides ASPCA, maybe we're the executioner world, because I mean, even the youngest of us huck a rock. This is not the place for fucking strange things to visit. Like, if they're taking notes and sharing them with their buddies, we're a problematic place to visit.
Dude, we are the hairless monkeys with the fucking boomsticks that apparently, huck rocks, as well. Also, though, too, we could be dealing with something that's, again, I'm deep into the Hollow Earth apparently this week, but maybe something from the Earth that just happened to come up, from whatever. It's Colorado, and there's mountains. There you go. That's my
Colorado. There's mountains.
Hence, there's mountains. Yes,
there is mountains,
dude. The Rockies. There you go. There's various mountain ranges.
But there is rivers too. What if it's some weird jellyfish water?
That is not. I mean, it's not beyond the pale. There's a big river nearby.
No,
whatever that is, I don't know. I didn't actually do that much research. I ought to have. But there's a big river near her grandparents' place. So could it be something that can somehow function on the land, unlike a jellyfish, but that just lives in the water?
Yeah, I just meant, I guess
I know
what
you're saying, because
water based.
If you saw that shit in the deep, Marianas Trench type shits, if James Cameron did a documentary and it had bioluminescence, we'd be all like, well, fuck. But none of us would be like, oh, that's totally, unbelievable. I always say that every time I see deep sea shit that glows, but I say it's unbelievable knowing full well it's really there. Being in a fucking backyard in Colorado is what makes it fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish it was bioluminescent.
Right.
So, I mean, it can't really be a fucking bug. It can't really be anything aquatic, obviously.
I mean,
so
not really.
Amphibious, alien, or supernatural. Like, did a ritual go wrong? Is this one of those fucking absorbing cubes? I know D&D fans are going to hate me. I don't fucking know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say.
The gelatinous cube.
Thank you.
Here, hold on a second. Because we're on cameras here, I'm going to, here you go. No one can see this.
Thank you. All right, there it is.
Gelatinous cube.
Gelatinous C. Yep.
Yeah. I guess the supernatural angle isn't anything that we actually entertained this evening, which is shocking. This could be, like
every
maybe
fucking one of these things could be paranormal in the occult sense.
And they all fit into a Hieronymus Bosch painting very nicely. Where if you're like, oh yeah, that's from hell. There you go, or whatever, unearthly plane that the evil resides.
Yeah, I mean, you of all people, Mark, how are you not riding the interdimensional dick hard on this app?
I mean, I know it's been a long week, and geez, I don't have my interdimensional titty tassels on right now, but yeah, no, dude, totally. From a reality adjacent to ours comes the fucking weird Twinkie kid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my God,
the Faceless.
I mean, dude, the veil can always be. Yeah, dude, the veil can always be pierced, and when you're like, "There's a veil, it's not pierced," you're wrong because
that's always true.
The veil. That's always an option.
Oh, look, there's the veil. Let's pierce
the veil is everywhere. All right,
because that happens every day.
This for 1 second, just off subject. Like, I love the idea of the veil in the sense that I love the idea that we multiple realities are adjacent to each other, separated by membranes that are, I suppose, invisible.
Right.
But usually impermeable. And who the fuck knows what's going on out there? Like, from a physics point of view, I'm fascinated by the fucking idea. But, like, how the fuck does this work? And I get that there's always like, oh, and then on certain nights like Halloween, the veil thins. Well, is it like a covering over the whole planet and then it can be a full-on infiltration? Or is it like a Point Pleasant thing where it's just around this certain region and there's it? Like, how do these, is it concentric circles? Is it triangles? Like fucking Ivan Sanderson would have said, did they work on fucking ley lines? Is every ley line a fucking veil? I'm kind of I need to know what the veil is, man.
I know. I can see the intensity.
You're not going to get an answer.
Eyes.
Everyone you ask is going to give you a different answer.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I've dug into this. I mean, if you're talking like, if it's ley lines, if it's quartz deposits, if it's certain, areas of the world.
But a lot of those places, the ley lines, the quartz deposits, they say that creates a condition wherein the veil may be permeable or penetrated.
Right.
So does that mean the veil is like this constant wall that's on us and that it's made of like a trillion layers, but it seems like just one thick but invisible and unfeeling thing? And that if for some reason, because there's too much fucking quartz watches in one area, you get a fucking Bigfoot with fucking 7 and 10 eyes.
I mean, it would be hilarious if that's the case. You're like, God damn it, there's too much quartz. Now there's a Mothman. Fuck. Like, God damn it.
There's no
unfortunately,
real
interdimensional stuff is just that. I know you guys, I obviously throw the theory out there and get my John Keel on and occasionally my psychic, Jacques Vallée.
Your psychic Jacques Vallée? I love that.
Yeah, well, I really enjoy Jacques Vallée's take on everything being like more, especially like UFO was more like a psychic phenomenon. But I mean, I think that could also, broad spectrum be, it could be put on pretty much anything that someone sees that's considered high strangeness. I mean, because that's what we're dealing with is high strangeness.
Of course.
Yeah,
it's not, for sure.
Yeah, so whether it's an interdimensional, different plane of reality, some weird psychic projection, or you're just seeing something that you're not supposed to see. That unfortunately,
it could all be valid in some way, or not, for that matter.
Totally.
Do you believe in the existence of the quote unquote veil, Mark? I'm talking to you specifically.
As far as interdimensional
I'm talking.
stuff?
Do you believe there is a veil that can be penetrated, where intelligent things that don't make sense here can come over, and maybe vice versa?
I definitely believe in multiple realities for sure. I have zero science to back that up, but I mean, there is science out there. Like, there is science out there to prove it, or to at least give a hint to it. But I do believe that the 3D space that we occupy is not the world in itself. It's just a little part of our little capsule, and there's greater things beyond us, and we occasionally happen to see shit from other places.
How about you, Chris?
I don't know. I mean, the scientific multiverse has some merit, but I don't know about like existing in the same time space as something else that's just slightly different or shifted or however you want to explain it. You know what I mean? So I guess that's about as specific as I can get.
They talk about the pea-brains being like layered next to each other. I mean, I guess I would need to research more the science side and the metaphysical side to try to come up with that. I have different ideas. I do think that obviously there are non-human intelligences. I mean, if you talk to like an old school hardcore, say religious conservative, they would say dead up, a human being is the only intelligent creature that's ever been created in the image of God, end of story. People that are more open-minded will say, well, clearly there's animals that display intelligence, this and that, but we seem to have the most advanced intelligence, at least as far as we know. I just find that to be unfathomable. Maybe I just don't have the hubris for that, but I do think that there are other things going on. And I used to certainly buy fully the extraterrestrial hypothesis, and I don't throw that out the window. But I do think that intelligences, whether they faceless fuckballs that like to hike in Georgia or whatever else, can come from more than one place, and they don't always need a spaceship and warp drive to get here.
Yeah.
But how they do it and why they do it, I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
man.
Dude,
it's always the thing. And no doubt this tirade was fueled by, Dayquil and fucking 40-year-old bourbon. But it's still goddamn valid.
And sometimes they come from your mind. Oh, there it is. The Cryptonaut podcast. We nailed it, boys. Oh shit.
Oh, what if your mind is the veil?
We always do.
You, Mark.
Don't. I have enough going on in my mind.
You are
I can't
responsible
be the
for
veil.
every paranormal phenomenon. The veil exists only literally within your biological brain.
Oh God. Well, I mean, that would be par for the course.
Only come out when you shit.
Oh, good. Even better. Thank God I got it today. Perfect. Awesome.
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
Clean
there it
that
is.
veil.
Awesome. So thank you all so very much for joining us, the Cryptonaut podcast. As always, we are on the social medias, the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks. Be sure to check out the Facebook fan group. Thank you to everyone that is that is doing the moderating and the admins over there. We appreciate that very much. Be sure to jump on there and check all that out. The hellerspace.com, the veil, if you will, hellerspace.com. You can get yourself some merch. Be sure to check that out. TeePublic offers the Holy Shirt Guarantee. So if there is an issue with your shirt, they will fix it and use it. We have used it in the past, and they are very good about taking care of any issues that happen to come up with your purchase. So be sure to check that out. The patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. $1 is the shout out and one bonus audio. The $5 is the 4, sometimes 8 episodes and the shout out as well. And you will get access to the Discord server that we were on, and we were hanging out, rocking, doing monthly events there. And actually, speaking of monthly events, I'm going to announce one real quick here. Friday, April 22nd at 8:30 p.m. on the Discord server is the campfire, which is like everyone can kind of get together
That's
and tell
fucking
like their own
awesome.
stories.
There's a lot of interesting stories to come out of that.
Yeah. And this one is People Are Strange. So
that's an
that would be a
interesting
pretty
theme.
cool
All right.
campfire.
That leaves a lot
Yeah.
to the imagination. I kind of dig that.
You can connect up with other listeners and chat and do all kinds of stuff. But definitely check that out. And again, that is Friday, April 22nd, 8:30 p.m. in the general chat on the Discord. The campfire roundtable here. People
And
are
another
strange.
movie night
so,
in the not too distant future, but that's still...
yeah, we're
That's
going to
still
talk
in the
about that.
ether,
We're going to
if you will.
get all that figured out. So yeah, there you have it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so very much. And hopefully next week we're all going to be back together in person doing this.
Oh, that would be
and yeah,
dope.
we appreciate everyone out there listening to us and supporting us through all this. It's awesome. You guys are the best, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you all. Be
Goodbye.
cool. So we got a tarp, fucking baby cobra with a fucking foreskin head, and
Chris's
something
best one.
clearly from
Fuck
hell
yeah.
and or a nearby river, which is
Yes,
exactly how
exactly.
Heller Space
Nailed it.
started with the fucking flipper way back,
Yeah.
way back when.
Yeah.
But what we do not have, unequivocally, is a fucking blimp this week, and I'm super stoked about that.
Well,
Oh, maybe
I
it could
guess
be a
it
little
could be a
blimp
blimp.
with tentacles. Maybe it lost its gas and landed, and it moves by kind of hopping
Oh,
gently
God.
slightly later than air. It's not a fucking
be.
blimp. God damn it,
I mean,
guys.
yeah.
I fucking baited you into it. You knew it's not a blimp. 1 week without a blimp.
all
Can you
right,
prove
fine.
it's
It's
not
a
a blimp?
blimpless week.
No, I
Excellent.
cannot, Chris. No, I can't empirically
Exactly.
prove anything's
Exactly.
not a goddamn blimp. Fuck.
Veil Lords over here. It's not a
Jesus
blimp.
Christ. If
shit.
this were a Patreon episode, that would probably be the title.
Yes, exactly. We'll be talking to you.
All right, bye.
Dude.